So today let's get grilling again, or this recipe can also be done in your oven. Let's make herbed garlic pork. Today you'll need a pork tenderloin or pork loin, olive oil, salt, pepper, paprika, onion powder, 6 cloves of garlic, and if you have fresh thyme and parsley, great. If you don't, you can use dried. First we'll start by preparing our meat. Pork tenderloin is obviously the most tender cut. It's the piece of muscle that's along the back, top of the pig, versus a regular pork loin that sounds the same but is different. It's a thicker cut, comes from the back of the pig. It's a little less expensive, not quite as lean. Today we're going to use the pork tenderloin. These can be, again, a little more expensive, but if you find it on sale, you might want to buy some and put it in the freezer. Let's go ahead and cut this off. Generally, these pork tenderloins come in 2 pieces. So when you take it out of the package, you'll see that you can split it up into 2 pieces. I'm just going to prepare 1 piece today, so the other piece could be saved for later for a different recipe. This 1-pound piece of pork tenderloin will feed around 3 people. One thing about pork and some other meats is that they have a silver skin on them. There's a difference between this fat here and this silver skin that we call a connective tissue that you see in this chunk here along the top. We want to remove that with a knife. So basically, if you start in the middle of the silver skin and see if you can get your knife just under the surface of the silver skin and not take away too much protein, that's the key. And then you can go along the other direction and do the same. So that's ready to go. Now we'll prepare the herb mixture. The rule of thumb is if you're using dry herbs versus fresh, it's kind of a 3-time rule, which means it's 3 times the amount of fresh per dry. So today we're going to use a 1/2 cup of parsley and 2 teaspoons of thyme that are fresh. If you're using dry, you would want to only use about 3 tablespoons parsley and about 3/4 teaspoon of thyme. So we have about a 1/2 cup of fresh parsley and a couple teaspoons of thyme, finely chopped. Now we're going to add 6 cloves of garlic. I know this seems like a lot, but this recipe is incredible with this amount of garlic. Now we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, another 1/2 teaspoon paprika, teaspoon of black pepper, and about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Stir those up a bit. Then we'll add a 1/4 cup olive oil. Mix. And we're gonna slather this all over our pork. Okay, so the best way to do this is probably just with your fingers. I'm gonna go ahead and spread our wonderful mixture over this pork. Both sides, both ends. Once you have the herb, garlic, and oil mixture on the pork, you'll want to cover that. It can sit at room temperature for up to an hour and marinate, and then we will cook it. If you are not going to be able to cook it within an hour, you'll want to put it in the refrigerator, but it should be safe with time temperature control for up to an hour. Okay, I'm using a pellet grill today, but of course any gas grill or charcoal grill would work. Just going to go ahead and get a little oil on a paper towel and get these grates greased up. Lay it on your grill. We're at about 375 or a medium heat, and we'll grill this and turn it a couple times until it's about 140 degrees internal temperature. Okay, it's been about 10 or 15 minutes. We're just going to turn it over. So we'll put the probe into the thickest part of the meat. You've seen it's about 142 degrees. That's about perfect. We're going to pull it. Once you pull the meat from the grill, let it rest for a couple reasons. One, it will reach its temperature of 145, which is safe for pork, and 2, all of the juices that were pulled to the center when you placed it on the grill will have time to redistribute back and make it juicy and tender. Okay, we've rested around 10 minutes. The larger the piece of meat, the longer you need to rest it. So this is, again, just about a pound, so 10 minutes is probably adequate. So we'll just slice a little of this off and give it a taste. You can see that the pork is pink inside. It's not overdone. It's perfectly done. Don't need to be concerned about eating pork that's pink. It's fine to do as long as you reach 145 internal temp. Beautiful. Okay, so you can see how lovely our pork looks on this plate. A little side dish of corn, a salad. It's tender, you can tell when you're cutting it. The garlic is perfect. I know it seemed like a lot of garlic, but it is so good. You must try this recipe.